What is up, my sweet and spicy, sexy assed Edison lovers? We are back post YCS Orlando. Literally, maybe an hour ago, I just got back home and I was like, okay, I need to, one, make sure the video that was supposed to go up Friday actually went up today. Whoopsie. It's done now, though. It's up. Y'all can go watch it if you want. Shout out my boy, the Rook YGO. He's great. But two, and more importantly, I wanted to record a deck profile and a tournament report, right? I'm probably, if you're watching this and you got clickbaited, I'm so sorry. I'm probably going to clickbait it with something like undefeated fairies at Ultimate Time Wizard Orlando, question mark. That's a lie. That's a straight up lie. Not only did I not go undefeated, I got my ass mollywopped, y'all. It was bad. Any game I played in a tournament, I got my cheeks clapped. But I learned a lot. I think on the second day, my play had improved considerably compared to day one. I also might have been because I got more sleep that night. I did not sleep well at all this weekend. Make sure y'all rest well before tournaments. It's super important, as it turns out. But I do think from the games that I played and did not like horribly misplay in, I think this deck in front of y'all has a lot of potential. So before we go any further, this is the deck that I took to YCS Orlando, Ultimate Time Wizard Orlando, right? It's a little bit different than the list that I'd been like showing y'all throughout the week. And don't get me wrong, all of those lists were in consideration at the time I was filming those videos. But this list right here was only featured in one match in one video. That is the game versus the Rook YGO, the first match in the second video. So part 2 of that video, the one that went up today, this is the first deck list that I use. And this deck fucks. This deck is crazy. So let me just go ahead and get into the deck profile, right? You see we got 3 Christia, we got 2 Fader, we got triple Caius, we got a Sork, we got 2 Dimalk. So the 2 Dimalk is important here, because don't get me wrong, we still need access to Dimalk, but it is a normal summon, and our normal summons are generally supposed to be like incredibly valuable in this set, in this deck, excuse me. And if we open a hand of like 2 Dimalk, like it can be good, but it also can be like clunky, right? So that's why we cut them down to 2. We also don't banish as much in this deck by virtue of not playing Lightsworns to fill up our graveyard as fast to have a ton of materials to banish. So by virtue of that, I figured 2 Dimalk is fine. We can get them both into rotation pretty easy, and then we can start looping them if we need to, right? Still rocking their 1 Freed, 1 Gores, triple Herald. You have to. If you're playing fairies, it's like mandatory, same with double honest, right? This is where it gets a little spicy. 1 Krebins, 1 Mind Master. Shout out to Keegan, aka E3 Yu-Gi-Oh! I could be wrong, but over on the Fairy Discord, which y'all should go check out, the really big Edison Discord. It's a phenomenal resource. I use it all the goddamn time. I saw him talking like maybe a month, maybe 2 months ago in the Fairy Discord about how like no one is really playing E-Telly with like a Krebins and a Krebins package. So like either 2 Krebins or Krebins Commander, or maybe even a 1-1 ratio, right? And he thought it was really, really good and really, really strong, deserved to be tested. And I was considering it. Then our boy Matt, shoutouts Matt, if y'all are familiar with my content, y'all should be familiar with him right now. Matthew Malad, he's the guy that's constantly commenting my misplays. So if you want to see, you know, him pointing out how awfully I play, just check out the comment section. I'm sure y'all have a hoot from it. But yeah, he also said kind of the same thing. He said that E-Telly is a very powerful tool and not enough people make use of it. So in this list, I was like, okay, let me try a Krebins. And in the video I had with the Rook, I was playing a Commander. And then I looked at the available psychic targets, right? And I learned Mind Master's at 1, which means Mind Master is legal in Edison. Now, Mind Master is a light, level 1 psychic tuner. So what does this mean? This means not only is this a E-Telly target, right? This means it's not only a Shining Angel target, this also means it's a tuner, which means another card to convert off of Mindcon, another card to convert off of BrainCon. Hell, it's another card to convert off of Shining Angel if we don't want to hard summon Herald because we have a ton of fairies in our hand, right? And the fact that this is level 1 means it can do something that almost no other tuner can do in this format, and that is Synchro Summon with Gores or its token, which comes up way more often than y'all think, because now you cannot feel like a fucking moron for like summoning a Gorz onto like a lone fire attack, let's say, right? So it just, you converting off of the normally dead monsters that would be in this deck and making them incredibly live and incredibly powerful is kind of like the thing I've been trying to do with Fairies, right? So following Mind Master, we of course have 3 Nova Summoner, which gets you into 3 Shining Angel, which gets you into the Mind Master. Got the 1 Plague, you have to, you need to, it has to be there. We have the 1 Enrise. We will be talking about this card at length. We have the 1 Sopal. Love this card. This card was great. It put in work the entire weekend. Whenever I had it in hand, it was pretty good unless I had like a combination of it, Enrise, Sword, Caius, and Christia. Which there was a game where I opened something similar to that and it was disgusting. We'll talk a little bit about my luck, and then we'll talk a little bit about how poorly I played and how both those things kind of came in together. I played the 1 Trag, have to, need to, got to. Trag is too important. In a deck that plays as little like defensive cards as this one does, I think like 1 Trag, 1 Gorz, double Fader is really good. High key, I'm considering going to 3 Fader. That's how important protecting your life points is, right? Then for spells, we got 1 Brain Con, we got 1 E-Telly to bring out the Krebins, the Mind Master. We got a heavy, double Instant Fusion. We're doubling up on Instant Fusion, and I'll explain why. So, Instant Fusion in this deck, you're thinking, oh, it can be used as like synchro material with your 6 tuners, right? Cool, yes, correct. What it also does is it doubles as tribute fodder for Caius and for Christia. The number of games where I went sick, I guess I'll activate E-Telly, activate Instant Fusion, and my opponent's looking like, okay, what fucking synchro are you gonna make? And then I'm like, double sack both for Christia and then just win the game on the spot was insane. When I was playtesting with my friends. In the tournament, that actually did not happen, and that was a shame. But in the tournament, I did often go Instant Fusion, Tribute for Caius, E-Telly, Tribute for Caius. So the name of the game here is getting utility out of both Instant Fusion and E-Telly, right? That was the kind of like mindset behind making the deck the way it is. That's the reason I'm on triple Caius as well, because now we're playing what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 hard free tributes for Caius, and then 6 recruiters, which theoretically could be free tributes for Caius, right? So in total, that's 13 cards to make Caius live. The only way it wouldn't be live, really, is if you happen to open all 3 of them in the same hand. Gosh, who could that have happened to, right? I don't know. Me, maybe. We'll talk about it here in a moment when I get into the tournament report. Yeah, we got double Instant Fusion, we got Mindcon. In this deck, Mindcon's broken. You have literally 6 ways to convert off of it. Technically 12 ways if we're counting the recruiters as another way to convert, though it is a bit telegraphed, right? MST, because we're not playing Lila. Pot of Avarice. Even without the Millers, this card's insane. I played a game against my friend Brad for money. Shoutouts Brad, shoutouts Keebler, member of Team Mythic Gaming. Check out the New Jersey, we got it. It's dope, it's sick. But I did play like an extended game against Gladbeast versus him, and Pot of Avarice directly led to me like just beating the dog shit out of him game 2. Sorry about that, Keebler. And then of course the 2 Decree. This deck loses pretty hard to back row, specifically like Bottomless Dimpriz, because it banishes the monsters as opposed to sending them to the grave. And we want to be able to stop those, right? Our sideboard is looking pretty solid, pretty standard. Double Consecrated, double Side Draw. We went ahead and put the Herald of Purple Light back in. I think this card is actually surprisingly good. The amount of back row that just fucks you up is crazy. And the amount of time you'll like hard flip a Decree and people will chain a back row thinking they're being smart only to get Herald of Purple Lighted is insane. It's a very good way to bait your opponent, right? Double Possessed Dark Soul. I didn't play against any frogs this week. But I still maintain that this card with Enrise in the side is, or Enrise in the main is very good. Double Book of Moon. This card, I think more than any other card in this list, came up so often this weekend. And this card was real. I think as long as I'm playing Fairies with Decree in main, I'm never not siding Book of Moon. I almost want a main Book of Moon. That's how good Book of Moon was. Book of Moon was awesome. Vortex, always solid, always good. The double release did come up one game against Vayu Turbo, and it was decent. It was pretty decent, but the issue was I drew like Soul Release with like no other good ways to convert, and he just mollywopped me the following turn with the return. which can happen. So be unawares. I always have to be before you start solo releasing, I guess. And then Double Twister. I did not see this card the entire weekend. I still maintain I think it's decent against Blackwings. Extra deck, we got the 1 Chimera Tech Fortress. We're playing a Dark Balder. I like this tech a lot with Instant Fusion because if you notice, it's a Dark Fiend. And what needs a Dark Fiend? Oh, I don't know, maybe Enrise. It's also a level 5, so we can easily make the Black Rose Dragon. And we can't make the other 2 level 7s, which is a shame, but we can make a Goyo or a Brio off of it thanks to Mind Master. And that's something previously we were not able to do, right? So I think that's very cool. Playing the Musician King, again, gives you access to Ancient and Arcanite. It's just too important. Playing Catastor, Ancient, Arcanite, BRD, Brio, Colossal, Darkan, Goyo, Android, RDA, Stardust, and Thought Ruler. So the extra deck looks pretty simple, pretty straightforward. The only 2 cards I really need explanation. But the only one, really, I think, is the Dark Ball. So, this is what the list looked like at the tournament, card for card. And in playtesting, I playtested a healthy bit the Friday before. It was going so well. I think my friend DeCarlo, shout out to DeCarlo, he was playing like Hero Zombies, and I think I had beaten him like 5 or 6-0. Like he had not gotten a game off of me. And then we stopped playing, right? But so in those games I was feeling pretty confident. Round 1 of Ultimate Time Wizard. I'm sitting down. My opponent pulls up. Phenomenal guy, really nice guy. Shout out to him. He was great. He sits down. He's like, "Hey, this is my first Edison tournament." Oh, also, before I get into it and before I talk to you about Game 1, Konami started the event 2 hours after it was supposed to start. I had chugged a coffee like 10 minutes before 11. I was feeling caffeinated. I was feeling ready. And then as I get in the room, I notice every single table's full up with the main event. So I'm like, oh, where the hell's Ultimate Time Wizard going to be? I go up to a judge and I'm like, "Hey, judge, where do we go for Ultimate Time Wizard?" And he looks at me and he goes almost sadly, he's like, "I don't know, dog. We're probably not going to run it until we have enough space because we're at like full capacity for this room with the amount of people here." There were 2,200 people at YCS Orlando. Shout out to YCS Orlando. Fun event, great event. But because of that, we had to wait until I think round 3-ish before we could start. So we didn't start until 1 o'clock. So we're already 2 hours later. My caffeine's already gone. I've crashed pretty hard. I'm starting to feel hangry, right? Me and DeCarlo talking, we're like, listen, if we lose round 1, we might just go and get like margaritas and tacos. Like that's how hangry I was. I was gonna throw away like all the practice I had done for this channel, basically, for this event, just to go get some tacos because I was hangry. So anyway, homeboy comes up to me, phenomenal guy, really nice guy, sits down. He's like, "Hi, this is my first Edison tournament." And immediately, I'm ashamed for admitting this, but immediately I was like, okay, this, no offense to him, I think this might be like a pretty easy win, might be a good way to settle me into the tournament, right? So we start playing. I wish him good luck. I let him borrow my mat because he forgot his mat and I had an extra one. So I was like, "Yeah, no worries, dude. You can just borrow this one. Hey, okay." And he's playing Morphtronics. My luck against this deck is dog. I got 2-0'd by this deck at the Ulti Kai's 3v3 we went to, right? So when I saw this Morphtronic deck, I wasn't scared. I was like, oh, redemption. Finally, I can prove I'm good against this deck. I can prove this deck cannot beat me when I'm playing a deck I know like halfway decent. Oh, how foolish I was. So we play game 1 and he mollywops me pretty quick thanks to a combination of, I think it's Borden and Radion. Borden being the one that lets you attack directly and Radiant being the one that gives all your guys like 800. He made like 2 and 2 and then just swung directly at me for like over 8k and I just died. Game 2 I lock him out with Christia pretty easily, pretty quickly. That was super simple. Game 3, I know he has a junk box in hand because of the way he's playing. So I'm like, okay, if he's gonna junk box for a Self-On, I have this Herald in hand to stop the Self-On. We'll be sorted, right? And he does exactly that. He activates junk box, he summons Self-On. And then when he goes effect, my dumbass, I saw the Self-On and I'm like, oh my god, I'm so excited. What's he gonna roll? Is he gonna miss? Is he gonna hit? I forgot I had the damn Herald in hand. Why? I don't know. Maybe it was the 4 hours of sleep. Maybe it was the caffeine crash. Maybe I was hangry. Maybe I'm just bad. I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know what happened, but I forgot that I had a Herald. So the first Self-On went through. He gets a second Self-On off a die roll of 2, by the way. So again, shout out to him. He's the goddamn GOAT. He's the greatest player I've ever met in my entire life. And then he rolls a Self-On. He rolls 2 again on Self-On and he gets a Borden. And then he summons, I want to say it's the one that can attack twice. And then I have no monsters on my field, by the way, because I thought with behind the Herald I was going to be safe. How foolish I was to have not realized, oh, I'm a dumbass. I should have probably dedicated anything to board. Oh, I also opened triple Christia with the Herald, for what it's worth. I don't think it made much of a difference because I think the game was very winnable if I had heralded the first Alphon. Neither here nor there. So he goes swing, and I'm like, okay, I take a lot of damage this turn, but next turn I can start setting up. I can probably be good. I had like an instant and an Italian in my hand, so I could have just Black Rosed and board wiped and done whatever, right? So I'm like, okay, attack is fine. And then he goes sick. Damage step? And I'm like, uh-huh. And he goes, limiter removal? And I'm like, so I died. GG's, dog. And that's how I lost to Morphtronics again. So for those of you keeping record, my track record against Morphtronic in tournament is 0. I have beaten them 0 times. My win rate percentage against them is 0%. I don't understand. Genuinely, I don't understand what happened there. But clearly something eldritch and horrible has happened, and I'm cursed to never beat Morphtronics, regardless of whether or not I get sacked or I misplay. I just can't beat him. I can't beat him. So if you're going to an event and you want specifically me to have a bad time, just play Morphtronics. Play Morphtronics, and it'll mean regardless of what happens, we'll inevitably get paired up like round 1, and then it'll just beat the dog shit out of me. That's what that means. Anyway. Round 2, played against another very nice guy. He was great. He was a very good player as well. He was playing Machina Control, I believe. Or no, Machina Quick Draw. And game 1, he beats the brakes off me. But games 2 and 3, because of sideboarding and because I know the matchup like pretty well, or rather I know that deck pretty well, so I could kind of read what it was he was doing, I was able to kind of gain the upper hand in those back 2 games, and I ended up barely managing to squeak out a win. But I felt pretty good. I was 1-1, right? Round 3, played against a very nice guy, supremely nice, lovely, lovely person. The issue is that he plays Blackwings. And therefore, by way of the sacred oath I took when I started playing Edison format, he is my sworn enemy, and I had to defeat him. But tragically, due to, and this one, I know it sounds like I'm making excuses. This one, I swear to God, guys, this one I'm blaming because I was hangry, and because I was one when I was kind of like, I'm so hungry at this point, I haven't had food. Maybe if he just beats me, I can go grab a margarita with my friends, and we can just try again tomorrow at the Giant Card. So I, in my foolishness, forget I have a recruiter in hand, and I just pass, right? I just pass my turn. I'm like, there's no way he OTKs me, right? He's playing Blackwings, and he's had a slow start. There's no way he OTKs me. Then he draws Black Whirlwind. So he summons Black Whirlwind. He tributes off, I think it's a value on board for a Sirocco. Sirocco searches Bora. He goes summon Sirocco, search, I think he already searched the Bora. He goes summon Sirocco, special Bora, Sirocco effect, pump the Bora, swing, and then I think he discarded either 2 or 3 Kalutes, I can't remember, but he just one-shot me, and I just fucking died. Like, it was insane. So that's twice in that tournament, by the way, in 3 rounds. Twice in 3 rounds, I just got OTK'd. It was disgusting. So that put an end to my Ultimate Time Wizard dreams, which is a shame, because that giant card at that tournament was a goddamn pot of greed. Brothers, I cannot begin to tell you how badly I wanted it. Don't get me wrong, I do love pot of greed, but I didn't want it to keep it. I wanted it because I thought it would sell for like 7.5, 8K easy, bro. I was trying to make some of the money that I spent back this weekend. And y'all, I spent money like a motherfucker. I spent so much goddamn money. It's actually kind of embarrassing how much money I spent. It's really sad. But yeah, so the next day I'm like, okay, I probably want to change up the list a little bit, but I also needed to stay behind and like at the rest of the day at the venue because we had some teammates who were playing in the main event who made day 2. Shout out my boy Austin, made day 2, great guy. But yeah, so day 2 comes around and I'm like, okay, there's an Edison Giant card. For the first time, I think maybe ever in Konami history, maybe they had this at Anaheim, I'm not sure. But it was the first time I ever experienced it where they had a separate giant card tournament for Edison specifically, which was awesome. It was phenomenal. So I registered the previous night. My dumbass, in my incredibly tired state at that point, like the night before, when I registered, I just submitted the same goddamn deck list. So I didn't get to test any of the changes that I would have wanted to make, right? So I go in round 1. For those of you who maybe heard about this through like Time Was Rebel or whatever, there were like 67, 68 people who would applied for the tournament. The tournament can only be run on 64, so technically round 1 was a bye for everybody except I think like 6 players. So that was kind of funny. And then my round 1 at the Giant Card was very tragically the matchup I hate the most, but the matchup that will for sure be the most common, so I'm kind of glad it played out. Black Wings, right? Game 1, it's a pretty back and forth game, but he ends up taking it towards the end because he just out advantages me. He does Black Wing stuff, right? Game 2, I beat the brakes off this man. I set Decrease, set Consecrated, pass. He summons Shura, swings into Consecrated, Consecrated doesn't die, and then the rest of the game, I'm just controlling board and kicking his ass. So second game went great. Third game, I do the same thing. I'm thinking, oh, I'm sorted. I win this game, right? He has to draw an MST to kill me. Well, would you believe it? he had the MST the whole time. He didn't need to draw it. He was just waiting for a turn where he could OTK me. So he activates MST, destroys my Decree, compulses my Shine Ball, and then he swings for like 8k off of, I don't even remember the combination of cards because at this point I was like so seething mad that he just killed me, right? Which again, all props to him. He's a phenomenal player. He's a nice enough guy. Really cool. And again, I think it's very smart to hold the MST. So again, all kudos to him. He was clearly very talented at the game. But it also kind of felt like, he opened the 1-up to beat the shit out of me. I also opened 2 2-ofs to, that would ideally beat the shit out of him. That's just a game of Yu-Gi-Oh! I was just kind of upset. But he was a nice guy. But that I did my Giant Card dreams. And then I thought about like, do I want to play in Edison Pods? And I was like, well, maybe. But first I need margarita and taco. So I went back to the same place we went yesterday. Got myself a little drink. They had birria fries there. It was killer. It was awesome. It was great. Then I came back and I just played a bunch of casual games against my friend Keebler, right? Last game was a bit of a money match. We got like $10 on it. It was cute. It was fine. But yeah, so this right here was the list I took. That right there was my experience at Ultimate Time with Orlando. It was, from a win-loss ratio perspective, it was a miserable experience for me. There is no doubt about that. I tried not to be salty about it, but like in the hours after, I was a little bit salty. Y'all know how us Yu-Gi-Oh players get, bro. No matter what happens, we'll be like, oh my god, dog, I got sacked, dude. No, there's no way I misplayed. There's no way that guy was better than me. Pro player over there? No, he's not better than me. He just got lucky, dog, But obviously, at the end of the day, it's a mix of, yes, luck plays a part, but like skill also plays a part. Deck knowledge also plays a part. Matchup knowledge plays a part, right? So there's so many different factors that go into a good player, right? And I can say with utmost confidence, this weekend I was not a good player. One, because I was mad out of practice. I'll cop to it. The real serious practice started a week and a half ago when I started making those videos. Maybe a little bit before. When I was playtesting a little bit more with friends. But before then, I hadn't played Edison seriously in like 2-3 months. So I really needed to get like my feet back in the water. I really need to remember like, here's where the misplays are. Here's how not to misplay. Here's how we read your opponents, right? And I think these 2 tournaments really helped me with that, right? Those 2 tournaments, and again, my boys Keebler and DeCarlo, shout out both of them. Oh, also shout out my boy Vern. I played against my boy Vern Friday night with Vayu Turbo. That was also very helpful. Vern's also a really great guy, so double shout out to Vern. But yeah, so I think this week I was not a good player. But that's kind of why I'm doing Yu-Gi-Oh content on the channel now, right? I want to be a good player again. I think before Nats of last year, I was a decent player. I don't know that I want to call myself good. I don't have any, when it comes to Edison specifically, I don't have any major claims to fame that I personally can claim, right? The only real one that comes to mind is that I won the Ghost Rare Black Rose, and that was like the first video I think y'all saw me on Gage's channel. I guess before that I like top 32 nationals with Gemini. Shout out BK Kids Club for making Gemini. Great guy, great content creator. Go check out his YouTube channel. But yeah, so I think improvement starts with setting a goal. The goal I want to set for myself this year is to make a claim to fame within the Edison community. I know it's a very vague goal. We'll start ironing it out when we kind of go further along. But I think in like broad strokes, what that means is I want to top a major Edison event this year. It doesn't have to be like top 3, even though if we're talking about Ultimate Time Wizard, it needs to be top 3 so I can make my money back. But like, you know, top 16 in RBET, right? Which, actually, does Keegan cover top 16? Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, I don't know. Well, let's say top 8. Top 8 in RBET, top 8 in EWCQ, or top 8 in UTW, right? I want to, by the end of this year, have top 8 in one of those 3 things. And that's the goal I'm setting right here in front of you guys. So y'all hold me accountable. And please, whenever I upload a video, if y'all could point out my misplays, thank you, Matt, for doing so. But it would be nice to see some variety from other people also saying, here's why I'm stupid, here's why I'm done, and here's why I'm an idiot. No, Matt's a nice enough guy. He's just very straightforward, and I do appreciate it, Matt. But if I could see more from the rest of y'all pointing out my misplays, maybe some misplays that Matt himself has missed, that would be fantastic. All I want to do from this channel is build community and grow as a not only a player but also as a human being. But I think the human being part kind of comes naturally. So I want to get better at the game. Straight up, that's my goal for this year, for this channel, is to get better at the game, and by getting better, growing the channel, right? So, question now is, where do we go from here? Let me show y'all. Call of the Haunted in testing has been insane. Rise in testing and in tournaments has sucked. I don't know what it is. I feel like maybe on DB it's a little different. It's definitely a little different because I feel like Rise is much stronger on DB when you don't open with it all the time. This weekend I was opening it like non-fucking stop. It was like it was my goddamn job, and I ended up hating the card. So shout out to my boys Atil, Matt, and Keebler. All 3 of y'all were right. Rise sucks. Here's me openly admitting it. So I cut it. I cut it for Call of the Haunted. And when I say Call of the Haunted has put in crazy work, it has put in crazy work, dog. I summoned Christia back against fucking zombies. Killed them immediately, won the game. I summoned back fucking what's his face? I think he was a Trag or a Caius against Gladbeast, and effectively ended their turn because they didn't want to suicide into my Caius, right? It's just, the card has so many different applications. I think I also summoned a Shining Angel on my turn, and I suicided it in to one of my opponent's monsters during a casual game. Like, the Call of Haunted, in theory, just puts in so much work, right? Another thing I didn't love about the list was having 6 recruiters. Reason being, I just opened duplicates of them too much, right? So right now I'm on 3, 4, 5, 8, 10... I'm on 17 fairies, which is normally where I like to be in a 40 card list. I could cut down to 15, which means this Herald is going to be used much more proactively as opposed to reactively out of hand. Much more proactively than maybe I would want, but maybe that we need, right? Who knows? And what I'm thinking is if I cut out a Shining Angel and a Nova Master, or Nova Summoner, excuse me, I can run a Trap Stun. Shout out my boy Matt, shout out Keegan, shout out anybody who's ever recommended Trap Stun to any player, because this card's insane. This card is truly wild, right? This would be another reason to maybe keep Demalka at 2, maybe even cut it to 1, because now we're on like 13 spell traps, right? And like this is a higher number than I'm normally comfortable playing with, but I do think Trap Stun is very necessary, simply because the thing that kills this deck, especially when you open a recruiter, is Dimpriz. Dimpriz fucking sucks. Because Dimpriz outs Stardust, which is almost always what you make if you have level 8 access. And then, you lose the next turn. Dimpriz outs a recruiter, so it doesn't even go to grave, it just gets banished, and then you're out of normal summon. Dimpriz also stops Christia from, attacking, and when I get Christia on board, I'm now, counting down the turns they have to live, which ideally 3, right? If they're at full life points and you summon Christia, ideally they have 3 turns to live before you kill them to death. So Trap Stun just kind of guarantees that you do. It's also very good in other niche situations, right? Like if you're playing against Gladbeast and they swing into your monster, you're like, okay, well they probably have Waboku. I could maybe activate Decree. They chain Waboku, I chain Trap Stun. So that's kind of a waste because if they're swinging into a big guy, then they have Waboku and then you just wait for them to activate it. Maybe if you flip Decree during the end phase and they had a set back row and it was already Dust Tornado, you can then flip the Trap Stun and stop that, right? But more importantly, it's just a good way to insulate your plays, right? Call the Haunted. It's a great way to turn off Call the Haunted, right? Because once the Trap Stun is activated, the Call the Haunted, regardless of whether the monster stays on the board or not, is no longer attached to said monster. So I think Trap Stun is very cool. I like this card a lot. I do need to test it. Straight up, I need to test it. That's just a fact. There's also a theory, not really a theory, but an idea where I could go like, just 3 Nova Summoner. Actually, no, not 3 Nova Summoner. 3 Shining Angel, because we want more access to Mind Master. Shining Angel, swoop. Also, y'all, the number of times Mind Master came up this weekend was insane. Either through eTele or just by me drawing it. Like, the number of games where I went, awesome, summon Sopal, summon Mind Master, make Ancient Sacred River, and OTK from there, insane. The number of games where I drew into this card, and then I had a Gorz, and I summoned Gorz, my token was a little itty-bitty baby, then I summoned Mind Master, and made either Stardust, Thought Ruler, maybe RDA or Colossal, but more often it was Stardust, and then a little less often it was Thought Ruler. It was insane. I love this card. I am convinced if you're playing the eTele package, you need to be playing 1 Mind Master. The utility of a level 1 tuner cannot be understated. That's the one thing I think this format was missing, was a good, usable level 1 tuner. And I think if you're playing eTele, you have that in Mind Master. I think if you're playing Fairies, you have that through Shining Angel. And I think if you're on Mind Master, Instant Fusion is just an immediate yes, because then you can make all your level 6 synchros. To that end, because we're playing, if we go with this list or the list with one of these, right? Or 2 of these, excuse me. Regardless of that, I want to cut Dark Bolter. We're no longer worrying about our Dark Fiend count. We're just worried about our Dark count because we're no longer on Enrise, we're on Chaos Orc. So if we're doing that, let's go more options. Let's go Edison format cards. We want Monster. We want Type. Don't care about Type. We want Fusion. We want Attribute, Dark, and then we want to Search. We probably should erase this text. And then level is going to be 1 through 5, and then we would like to search. So there's only really 5 targets, one of which is banned, which if Thousand Eyes Restrict was not banned, this card would go so hard in this format. This card would be insane. I think it's sufficient to be an immediate 3 of in everyone's decks, neither here nor there. So I was kind of torn between like Darkfire and maybe this guy, but like this guy with Mind Master doesn't really do a ton for us, right? So I think Darkfire is the probably obvious pick. Darkfire just kind of gives us more flexibility out the Instant Fusion. Now instead of only being able to make level 7s and 6s, we can make level 5, 6s, and 7s, right? So overall, I think just having the Darkfire is pretty good, because immediate access to like Catastor is pretty insane. And in some cases, Magical Android, if for whatever reason you already have like an Ancient Sacred Ribbon up, or you plan on getting one up, you can just kind of bolster your own life points to get this guy's attack even higher. So I think I like this amalgamation a little bit more. Because we're not worried about Dark Fiends, I do kind of think we can take Possessed Dark Soul out. And I do think we can bring in Mask of Restrict. Don't get me wrong, I do love Possessed Dark Soul, but I do not think I gave this card a fair shot after I realized Possessed Dark Soul was a Dark Fiend. I think this card is abhorrent against Frogs. Straight up. Against Frog Heroes, it maybe does a little bit less. But again, against Frog Heroes, we have the double Soul Release to deal with that. We still have the double Lightning Vortex and Book of Moon if we're really, really worried about the fucking dupe block. And again, this build, it plays much more like combo Chaos Fairies as opposed to the more control-y version of the deck that I've been playing in previous videos. So I think because it's a little more combo, a little more mid-range almost, I do kind of think Mask of Restrict is a bit of a better option, because instead of eating our normal, we can just flip it up and stop their fucking summon, and then we just win the game. It also, for what it's worth, if we activate this on the summon of Substitoad, they can activate Substitoad once, and then we just chain this guy. At best, they're ending on Pseudo Dupe Block, which is much easier to deal with than regular Dupe Block. You can also just flip this card when they summon Treeborn, and then you stop the Substitoad play in its tracks. Pretty nice. So yeah. This is maybe what I'm thinking I'm going to change the deck to. I do want to test this. Like I said, I was kind of worried about not opening Decree when I was playing over 40 cards. But I think if we're playing Trap Stun, we can kind of get away with 41. Because then that gives us, instead of 2 copies of Decrees, quote unquote 4 copies of Decrees, or at least 4 copies of cards that insulate us from our opponent's plays. And I think 4 and 41 is pretty decent. That's like roughly a little under 1 in 10 chance of opening 1. So out of 5, I want to say like 4 copies of a card would be roughly like 70-ish%. My math might be a little bit off, but I think that's right. So yeah, this will be the list we'll be testing probably the rest of this week. Fingers crossed. If anything changes, I will hopefully let y'all know before the Edison 3v3 happening this weekend. Fingers also crossed that my boy Keebler can come through and join the team. If he can't, I'll let y'all know. And if any of y'all are coming down to Georgia, you know, let me and my boy Atil kind of test you, and we might could just recruit you, and we could just have a cool team. Only requirement is that your first name forms a word with the initials A and D. So like if your first name is Charles, we can technically do like CH as the initials, and then we'd be Team Chad. Because we have Charles, we'd have Atil, we have Donish, which is my name. And that's the only requirement. With Bradley, it was Bad. With our boy Dakota, it was Dad. If your name is, I don't know, Matthew Mercer, famous voice actor. If you're watching this and you want to play some Edison format Yu-Gi-Oh!, please hit my boy me and Atil up, and we can be Team Mad, brother. That was so dumb. Cad, I guess, but like Cad's kind of like an old English word for like kind of a bastard. We'll figure it out. But yeah, I guess that's it from me. I've been rambling for 37 minutes. I might have to edit some of this down. Might have to edit some of it out. If you enjoyed the vibes, you enjoyed the discussion, you enjoyed me, please leave a like and subscribe. I am trying to grow the channel, like I said. I am wanting to build a community of people that I can have like conversations about Edison format with, and kind of help improve myself and those people at the format, right? I think that's always fantastic. And if y'all enjoy me, y'all will for sure enjoy me over on Mythic Gaming. Subscribe at Mythic Gaming, youtube.com/@MythicGaming. Phenomenal channel, run by my boy Gage, love him to bits. I am featured there often through my cooking with curry videos, and hopefully here soon, I'll be featured often through my amazing Edison gameplay and wins. That remains to be seen. But yeah, they're my team. Like I said, Team Mythic, gotta rep the brand, wear it on your chest, you know how it goes. So yeah, please go ahead and check them out, give them a like and subscribe. If you're playing modern Yu-Gi-Oh! At all, like I said, they will have deck profiles for the 2 teammates who went who made day 2 this week. And one of them, my boy Austin, maybe was playing some type of, I don't know, white women? I don't know. Where are the white women at? Austin knows. Shout out to my boy Austin. But yeah, that's it from me. Be sure to like and subscribe if you want to continue with my like ongoing Edison journey, my ongoing trials and tribulations at forcing myself to get better at this game that I do love so dearly, and I hope you do as well. Until next time, I will catch you sweet and spicy, sexy ass duelists. Later.